Election, predestination. You hear those words and, well, they can sound pretty heavy, can't they?
Oh, absolutely. Maybe it brings up images of some distant God making decisions about your fate, ages ago.
Right, leading to anxiety, maybe even real fear for some. But what if that whole picture is, well, fundamentally wrong?
And exactly. What if this doctrine, often seen as quite daunting, is actually what one major theologian called the heart of the gospel?
An absolute good news.
That's the huge shift we're diving into today. We're looking at Karl Barth, the 20th century Swiss theologian.
And his really transformative take on election. We're drawing from his, let's be honest, massive work, Church Dogmatics.
Specifically, Volume 2, Part 2, Sections 32.1 and 32.2 for those keeping score.
Okay, so our mission here is to unpack why Barth could say election is the sum of the gospel.
And how he pulls it away from sort of abstract fate and anchors it completely, totally in Jesus Christ.
And crucially, what this shift means for you listening, moving this idea from something potentially scary
to something that offers profound hope and assurance. Okay, let's get into it.
So where does Barth even start? It's quite different, isn't it?
It really is. He doesn't begin with asking, who's saved, who isn't, or some secret decree. He starts with God.
With God's own nature and action.
Exactly. For Barth, God electing humanity is rooted in God's own eternal choice, God choosing himself freely.
Okay.
Specifically, choosing to be God for us, for humanity. It's God's own self-determination to love.
Right. And in that self-choice, humanity is then included, elected.
That's the core.
Yeah.
So election isn't some abstract decision about your status hanging out there.
Yeah.
It's about God's very identity being tied eternally to being with humanity.
So it shifts the focus completely, away from my uncertainty.
Onto God's revealed character for you, revealed crucially in one place.
Jesus Christ.
Always. For Barth, Jesus Christ is the sole place we learn anything true about God's will, God's nature. Theology has to start and end with Christ.
No hidden God behind Jesus.
None. No God lurking in the shadows beyond or behind Christ. He is the full, the only revelation.
Wow. That feels like a direct hit on older ways of thinking.
It is. Think about the traditional idea of an absolute decree.
That decretum horrendum, the horrible decree, sounds awful.
It does. And Barth saw it as often disconnected from God's love revealed in Christ. He really critiques any theology trying to figure God out using just like abstract reason.
Or general human feelings or experiences.
Right. Apart from Christ, that, he says, leads you to a deus nudus absconditus.
A naked, hidden God.
Yeah, distant, unknowable God you've basically constructed yourself through speculation.
And the incarnation, Jesus, overcomes that entirely.
Precisely. For Barth, starting anywhere else just leads back to fear, because you're trying to find security outside God's actual self-giving in Jesus.
Okay, and this leads to maybe Barth's most complex but central point.
Yes. The idea that Jesus Christ is simultaneously both the electing God and the elected man, all in one person.
Both the chooser and the chosen one.
That's the absolute cornerstone. As the electing God, Christ is God's sovereign decision, God's will to elect. There isn't some other will hidden behind him.
Okay.
And as the elected man, Christ is the specific human God chose, the one who carries our existence, our destiny, within his own chosenness.
So my election, your election, it's not separate.
It's real because it's included in that of the man Jesus. It's grounded in him.
So God's eternal choice isn't just a static plan from before time.
No, it's a dynamic reality. It's lived out and acted in the person and the history of Jesus Christ. It's an encounter.
Which makes election about grace.
Radical, unconditional grace. And for Barth, this grace isn't God's plan B because humanity sinned.
Ah, right. Not a reaction.
It's God's eternal proactive purpose, revealed and fulfilled in Christ, especially, at Golgotha.
On the cross, where God, in Christ,
took upon himself what humanity deserved, our rejection.
Which brings us to that really difficult question. Rejection, reprobation, how does Barth handle that?
He flips the script completely. Instead of God decreeing rejection for certain people.
Which is the scary part.
Right. Barth locates rejection in Jesus Christ. Christ, as the elected man, bears humanity's rejection on the cross. He is the rejected one.
He takes the no of God's wrath against sin for us.
On our behalf, yes. So reprobation isn't some parallel decree next to election. It's like the shadow side that Christ absorbs and overcomes.
So if someone doesn't believe.
That's seen as their tragic self-chosen act of stepping outside the election already secured for them in Christ.
Wow. So it moves from a potential duality, some saved, some damned by decree,
To a powerful message of really universal hope anchored entirely on what Christ has done for all.
Okay, let's try and sum this up. Barth fundamentally shifts election
Away from a potentially terrifying abstract decree about who's in or out,
to a concrete, deeply hopeful reality centered completely in Jesus Christ.
who was both the one doing the choosing.
And the one chosen on behalf of everyone.
Yeah. So understood this way, election isn't about your uncertain fate based on some hidden list.
It's God's revealed, active, unbounded yes to all.
Secured in Christ. It is, as he said, absolute good news, rooted in God's free, unchanging grace.
Which leaves us with a final thought, something to chew on, perhaps.
Go.
If God's ultimate will, God's decision about humanity's fate, is fully shown and fully enacted in Jesus Christ.
The one who was rejected, who bore our rejection.
Right. Then what does that imply about the very nature of reality itself and about your place within it, regardless of how you feel or what you do or any abstract ideas you might hold on to?